Roussel, Riverside, congratulations. Took out a #1 seed last week. It was worth the wait. You had to wait a while to finish that game, right?
Yeah, we had an hour and a half rain delay. Right before half, we were about a minute 3 left in the first half. We were up 27-7, so a little momentum on our side, and the Lightning hit right after a kickoff, right after a touchdown, so we were inside, and it was talks about postponing and coming back tomorrow, and the field conditions and if it's safe playing conditions. But it's a 2-hour bus trip. You got the momentum. I wasn't leaving. We were going to stay in there till midnight if we had to. But we came out of halftime, and our kids were, we still had that juice and still had the momentum, and just played well in the trenches on both sides of the ball with the conditions.
Defense gave up nothing. I mean, no points in the game. They scored on an interception. Just talk about
your the lone touchdown was we threw a pick six. Defense has been kind of getting us here. The first couple rounds of the playoffs against Catholic Point Capee did a really good job against a really physical brand of football. And then, you played a rematch against St. Martin's and the explosive players that they got, and our defense did a really good job holding Harlem under 100 yards and holding them to 2 scores, and then getting a shutout this week. Not giving up points against another explosive player at their quarterback, the Dortez kid, who was a really special player. And then at a couple times defensively, we didn't do them favors, and we had a bad snap on a punt in the weather and gave them the ball in the red zone, and our defense held them out. So our defensive coordinator, Chris Lashley, he's tremendous. He does a great job. He's a good teacher, and we got good players. Our kids have been doing a good job. Year 2 of it, they kind of understand where they're supposed to be and the expectations, and they're the group that got us here.
Dedrick Lashley will never pass the eye test, but he passes every other test. Talk about it.
Yeah, that's what kind of the talk, and everybody asks his real height and weight, and I heard somebody ask him in there, and he said 5'4", so we'll go with 5'4". But he is great, man. He is. You look at turn the film on Friday nights, and he's getting it done. And I get it. I was on the other side, the recruiting side of it, and you do want to know heights and weights, but when the film turns on, he's doing it at close to 2,500 yards. I think he's got 38 touchdowns on the year, explosive run after explosive run against good opponents. So, and he's just a total package. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He understands pass protection. He can run inside the tackles for his size, and he is a great kid. He's great in the hallways. Academically, he does a good job. Good family. He's everything you want.
You've been a top assistant with championship programs. You've talked about it, but working with Frank Monica, Tim Detillier, Jay Roth, championship programs. Just talk about how much that's benefited you.
A bunch. As a young coach getting into it, I was blessed to work for some really good mentors in Jay Roth and Frank Monica, Tim Detillier at Lutcher, and last Tim Rebo at Nichols, and all maybe Hall of Fame coaches in our state. And you just sit back, shut up, and learn, and watch those guys, and you take some mental notes for if you ever got an opportunity to be a head coach. And it was always something that was a goal of mine. You don't know when it's going to happen, but I learned so much from them. I still stay in touch with all those guys and ask them questions when I have questions, and they've been great to me. So, I owe them a lot, and they are a part of a reason why we're here today.
What is it that has enabled you to get from taking this job to playing for a championship in 2 years?
It's important in the river parishes. You just look here today. We got 3 of us here in St. James, St. Charles, and Riverside. So football is important. It's been done before with Coach Stubbs and Coach Mickey Roussel both getting it to here, and so I knew it could be done. People say, "Did you think this fast?" I don't know if I could put a timeline on it, but I knew River Parish football is important. I know there's good players in the River Parish. We got great administration that football is important and athletics is important. I grew up right down the road in Lutcher, so I had family that went to Riverside, and gave me an opportunity to come back with my 2 kids of my own, and they go to school there. And I knew it could be done. I didn't know exactly what the roster was going to look like when we first got there, and to say, hey, year 2 we're going to make it to the Dome, I'd be lying to say if I thought that was the clear-cut expectations. But, man, when a bunch of kids buy in and believe and you got some talent, it can get done.
Coach, after the regular season game against St. Martin's, you told me that you knew in the spring that you had a good running back in Dedrick Lashley, but when was the last time you saw somebody in his body frame dominating the way he has this year?
So I compare him all the time. I tell him this. He never met that. But we had a kid at Nichols that I coached, and Dontrell Taylor from White Castle. very similar build, similar kids and similar players. So I seen him do it at the Division I level, and everything Dontrell was, Dedrick is. He was smart. He understand where and how to run the football. Like, he understood concepts and, hey, on this play I'm pressing this gap or this shoe of the guard, and this is who my eyes need to be on when I run this play. And he gets this. Dedrick gets those things, and he's got ability on top of that. He can run and he can make you miss, but he also understands football and he gets it. So I've seen it, and so in spring, yeah, we talked about our defense doing well the last 3 weeks. Our defense is pretty good defense. We're good up front, and he was making explosive runs in spring and in the fall camp. So I kind of knew then that we'd have something special at the running back position. But even him last year as a slot receiver, he didn't get as many opportunities at the running back position because we had a back in Elijah Davis. But I knew we had a good football player. He just wasn't getting the touches last year as a sophomore.
Do you think that your season kind of took off after the first St. Martin's game, Coach?
Yeah, that was a good one. I think that was the first game maybe that we put all three phases together. You know, I thought we learned some things in the Newman loss and our one loss. We did some things sloppy as far as penalties and turnovers and didn't stay inside the chains. And, you know, I think that's gotten better throughout the year. So, yeah, I think that was a game. The Country Day game, I thought we played really good on special teams and kind of took some momentum there, and then that game putting all three phases together and in the district. And, yeah, and then in the playoffs, I think we found different ways to win. The Point Capee game, round 2, we blocked the first punt of the game and get a touchdown off it, then we block an extra point and win 14-12, but didn't play well on offense. So, you know, now where we needed the most, a different phase of the game steps up and to get us to this point.
Your opponent this week?
Yeah, very, very talented. I mean, like Vermilion Catholic, a team that's been here before, right? They always in the mix. They either in the dome or flirting with the dome in the semifinals. So they know how to win. They're well coached, and they got players. I mean, they got the size and they got the speed. There's not a lot of holes when you try to find things watching film on, hey, we can attack this. There's not a lot of holes as far as player wise. So yeah, we know what we have to do. We know it's a good opponent. We know we're gonna have to play well. But yeah, they got the people. They got the talent. They got the O-line. They're big. D-line. They got size, and they're really good at the skill positions.
Do you think the running game is going to be really key to try to keep Southern Lab off the field at an offense that is very dangerous and can score at any time?
Yeah, that quarterback's really good. Probably one of the better ones we've seen this year. He's a dual threat kid. He can run just as well as he can throw. You know, I think you got to mix it up against them as far as offensively, you know, against their defense. Their defense has really been good. To me, their defense may be just as good as the offense. I think they're really good on both sides of the ball. They do a good job of putting extra people in the box to make it tough to run and play a lot of man coverage, right? So now a lot of times you're going to get cover zero, there's no safeties, right? So there's always one or maybe two more than you can account for in the blocking schemes. So I think we're going to have to mix it up and do a little bit of both.
Speaking of their defense, Dylan Day, I believe he had the game-winning pick six from last game. What have you seen maybe from him on film, and what do you have to watch out?
Yeah, that interception was special. You know, it wasn't one thrown right at him where, you know, he had no choice, but he went up and got it with two hands at a high point, and then, you know, takes it 40 yards and goes score in a big moment, so you can tell what type of player you're dealing with. And he's not the only one. You know, there's a couple more back there who can cover that they trust playing man coverage for majority of the game, which is not easy to do, so it says a lot about their players.